resource off the table with this bad language. So the players in this was Senator Martin Nesbitt from Asheville, Senator Joe Sam Queen from Mitchell County, and Senator John Snow from Waynesville, or Murphy, excuse me. And these guys have publicly stated they just don't like them. They don't like how they look. They don't think that we have a renewable energy resource that's worth developing. They view wind turbines as kind of this pet project by the renewable energy crowd looking for federal subsidies. They view wind turbines in the same light that they view sugar top, as not a social necessity, as not something that is needed. And the risks and the potential impacts to the tourism industry and to, they don't ever cite birds and bats, but to viewshed was enough. They have this visceral reaction for them to put this bad language in. It left the Finance Committee, was voted on the full floor of the Senate, and passed by a vote of 42-1. Your state senator, Senator Steve Goss, being the one dissenting vote. And then all of a sudden the session was over and we couldn't do anything about it. So where we stand right now, and this is kind of the wrap up, is a bill passed the Senate that essentially bans wind, no, not essentially, does. It bans wind energy in western North Carolina under the auspices of they're ugly, and they'll destroy the viewshed, and they'll collapse the tourism industry in western North Carolina, and they'll take away our sense of place. These are three very powerful men. Senator Nesbitt is the majority leader in the Senate. He's a trusted voice. He's been around for a long time. He was one of the leading voices on this fight. So that's where we're at. So the session ends, but we still have this guy over here, this House bill. So remember, both bills were simultaneously introduced. So the Senate passed a really bad bill. But in May, the North Carolina General Assembly will come back together, and they'll have the House of Representatives will have an opportunity to vote on what is still a good bill. And that's where we come into play. We have to engage our House members, North Carolina House of Representatives. We have to engage them in such a way that they realize the importance of a clean energy economy, the importance to develop our own renewable energy resource, and that people want it. One of the main problems with this bill, and one of the only reasons that it passed so resoundingly, is because they did it so sneakily. And this is textbook slime government. Is they know something's going to be contentious, so we'll wait to the 11th hour, we'll pass it through, we'll ram it through, so nobody can engage. No businesses can engage. No college campuses can engage. They can't get flack in the district. They can just push it through. Thankfully, we have the short session, we have the House of Representatives where we can engage and we can say, hey, do not ban wind energy in western North Carolina. Yep.
So the House bill will overrule the Senate's decision?
Well, it won't overrule it, but basically if we cause a big enough fuss in the House and we pass a bill that is good in the House, they have to go to conference, which means leaders from the Senate or people who have a vested interest in the Senate have to come together with leaders in the House, and they have to battle it out. Now, presumably what will happen, and this is just like political games, there's going to be more political games in the short session than I've ever seen, is hopefully what we can do is pass this good bill, and the only way we'll pass it if the people are engaged, if you are engaged in this process. The House will pass the good bill. The short session is presumably going to be about 35 days long. That is not a long time. That is a blink of an eye. And then we'll have the interim, and then we'll take it up in the long session, which is 7 months long, so we can have an opportunity to really fight this thing out. But they don't overrule each other, but they'll have to come together on it. And generally, if a bill passes the House, which is the larger body, and generally the more liberal body, some concessions will have to be made on the Senate side. With Martin Nesbitt now the majority leader, he's kind of the bad guy who was on this. He's actually a good guy. He just hates wind turbines. He's going to have to tone it down a little bit because he kind of represents a bigger audience. So the point of the matter is that we engage on this bill and we empower our state legislators in the House to advocate for this, to publicly and vocally advocate for this. We have a chance of derailing the bad wind bill. I could stop there, or I could talk about how important we are because of Cully, or you guys could take it over and talk about what you're doing. You want to do that instead?
Talk about Cully a little bit, because that kind of ties in, and then we can...
Have I gone forever? Have I taken everyone's time?
It's 8:30, so we have like 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll be really quick, and then I'll let them tell what you guys can do. So it has to go through committees in the House again. It just so happens that our state representative, Cully Tarleton, is on the first committee of jurisdiction. So what we saw in the Senate is that if people were from the coast or if people were from the Piedmont, they were like hands off. They were like, y'all mountain people do whatever you want to do. Y'all are weird and you're mountain people. And that happens all the time. Like leadership on Western issues, it's just deferred to mountain people. Like, y'all just do your thing. We'll be down here in Carborough chilling. And so that's, presumably that's what's going to happen. So on this very first committee that this good bill has to go through, there's only 2 people from the West. And it's Cully Tarleton and a woman from Asheville. So right off the bat, you're the most important voting constituency in the state of North Carolina for this wind energy bill, hands down. And the idea is that what we have to do is not give Cully a hard time and like make him feel like we hate him. At this point, this is our opportunity to say, hey, we are behind you 100%, regardless of who you have to fight. Advocate for this. We have the largest wind turbine in North Carolina. We're known for renewable energy. We're known for being leaders in the Southeast on energy issues. Don't ban wind. And so I think that that's a good closing. You guys can talk about, student groups have been awesome. And they will play the most critical role in, especially from the West, in engaging on this level and making sure that we don't have a ban on wind energy in Western North Carolina. Because the coast, nobody's going to mess with the coast. They're going to get their wind energy and it's going to be awesome. And they're going to reap the benefits of the property taxes and the green energy credits and the renewable energy jobs and the clean energy economy. And we have that same resource and we deserve the opportunity to develop it responsibly.
The survey that this is for is a mail-based survey, so it's going to go out to 2,000 people in Watauga County with an oversampling in Boone, because the people that live in Boone are the ones who have the most interaction with the only wind turbine in the state that's, large enough to affect what we're trying to affect with this bill. The survey that this is for is a mail-based survey, so it's going to go out to 2,000 people in Watauga County with an oversampling in Boone, because the people that live in Boone are the ones who have the most interaction with the only wind turbine in the state that's, large enough to affect what we're trying to affect with this bill.